Hello, I thought I would show you today how I created this journal page. I'm going to use similar colours but not the same. So on this particular one I used Mermaid Lagoon and Vintage Photo for the background, and then I also used Versifying Claire, I think it was Fallen Leaves for the darker stitching and the spots around the page. And I use that butterfly set. So today I'm going to use some slightly different stamps. So I'm still going to use the ephemera set, this set here, and I'm going to use the Inkylicious Curiosity Jar. Now all of these stamps are from Inkylicious and available on their website. Just to finish it off, I will be using a sentiment, Dance in the Moonlight, from this Dance Sing stamp set. Okay. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is to find a blank page, which I'm going to go right into the middle of the book for this. So I'll put that ribbon out of the way behind. And I'm going to use a piece of acetate. So just the sort of thing that you would have, sorry this isn't clean at the moment, let's just make sure it is. So the sort of thing that you might have fastened to your stamps, or it might be that, like this one I think was part of a laminating pouch, and I'm going to use that to apply the ink to the page. I do that because it's easier to see where you're placing it with a piece of acetate than it is if you turn the page over to dip into the ink. So I'm going to start off with some Uncharted Mariner, and I'm going to add that to my piece of acetate. I'm going to give it a little spray with a water bottle. There we go. And then I'm just going to turn it over and just add some of those splodgers to the page, and you can like dip it back into, if there's somewhere where it's looking a little bit like there's a bit of a puddle, then you can go back in and move it about. And then I'm going to dry it with my heat gun. Shouldn't take too long to dry. Okay, that's dry enough. Next I'm going to use Wild Honey Distress Oxide ink. Oops, excuse me. You could do exactly the same techniques as this using regular distress inks. You don't need to use the oxide inks. It will appear slightly different on the page, but not a great deal. So again, ink onto the acetate, wet it, and then add some of that colour to the page. Okay, I think I'm happy with that ink that's on there. Right, so I'll just dry that off again. Right, so now to start building up some stamping on the background. I'm going to start off with So I'm going to be using the ephemera stamps for this. I'm going to start off with this bit of text just here. And I'm going to ink that up with the Uncharted Mariner. And then I'm going to stamp it onto the page in a few places. Oops. Okay. So next I'm going to use these dots here. And I think I'm going to stamp those in the wild honey. One more down in this corner here. There we go. Right. Next, I'm going to use these numbers just here. And I think this time I'll use the Uncharted Mariner again. Oops. Okay. Okay. And I'm also going to add some of the stitched. Just here we've got several like borders, and I'm going for this zigzag stitch one just here. And again, I'm going to use the Uncharted Mariner. And I've only inked up about half of it at that, because I wanted to add it in the middle of the page a bit. I'll do the same just there. And then I'll have two on this page as well. Okay, so that's added those in. Right, so I think Next, I'm going to use this stamp, which is this one here. So it's sort of a dotty, slightly grungy effect stamp. This time, I'm going to use some VersaFine Clair Twilight and start to build up a bit of extra texture around the edge of the page. So when I'm stamping in my journal, I do tend to rotate the page quite a lot just to make sure that I can get to the bits that I want to get to. And then I'm also going to use one of the other stamps, which is like a crackle effect. If I show you on this sheet, this one here, I'm going to use that in some of the spaces too. Okay, and I think now that background is feeling pretty much sorted. I might just, there's just a couple of places where I quite fancy adding in like little ink splodges. And so there's one more stamp that I'm going to use. It's quite a small one. This one here with 3 circles on it. I'm going to add some of those in 1 or 2 places around the page. Right, I think we'll let that be enough for the background. I haven't used a great deal of the wild honey to stamp with. I might, no, I will use one more stamp, this like grid style stamp here. I will add just a little bit of that in that space, just there. Let's try and do a bit more. There we go. And maybe also over this side too. There we go. I'm happy with that. Right, so that's the background finished, I think. Now we have got quite a large sentiment, and I could add this on a piece of paper like I did for the one near the beginning, like this, or I could just stamp it directly onto the page, and I'm thinking that it would fit rather nicely just there, stamped directly onto the page. And if I use the VersaFine Clair Twilight, it should stand out enough from the background to not need any border or anything to it. So I'm going to pop that in that space just there. There we go. So now it's time to sort these moths. So I've already stamped the moths in VersaFine Clair and black ink and cut them out so you don't have to watch that bit. And I've done the 3 different moths. There we go. So now all we need to do is to colour them using some similar colours to the page, and then we can add them to the page once they're done. So I'm just going to move that background out of the way, and then we'll colour these. So I've got some Inkylicious brush pens here, which are water-based, and you can either use them to paint with or you can colour them directly to the page. So this one is burnt sienna. Obviously you can use whatever colouring mediums you like. And if you want to, if you've got like sparkly pens or things like that, you can add extra details to them. Okay. I'm also going to add just half of the body like that. Then this one is light orange, so I'm going to colour in all the bits that I haven't coloured yet in the light orange. Right, so there's our first one done. And I think my second moth, I'll go for the blues. So this colour is Prussian blue. Again, just go down one side of that moth, and then I will, the thing with them being watercoloured is you can sort of drag the colour out from one to the other and blend it quite easily with the pen. But you can equally do that with watercolour paints and other mediums as well. These are nice for speed if I'm doing a demonstration. Okay. It's not perfect colouring, but never mind. So there's that moth, and then we have this one left. So this one I think I'm going to do a combination of the two. So I'm going to go over this bottom part of the wing with a Prussian blue. And maybe just this area here and this area here. through here and along there too. Okay, add a little bit there. Then I'll use some of the burnt sienna here. Here too. And then finally finish it off with the light orange. I could probably add quite a bit more detail in these, going over with pencil crayons or going over with a white gel pen, that sort of thing. But for now, it will do. Okay, so let's lift our page back in. So I know I went for orange rather than yellow with this, but I thought it would probably work reasonably well with those colours, and I think it does, doesn't it? It's whether I add one to that page and just have two on this page. So when you're adding your focal points, you can just play around with them until you're happy where you want them to go. And I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to go with that. So I've got some Collage Matte Medium, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that to the backs of the moths. And then add them onto the page. I'm having that one straight and these two at an angle. And there we go. So thank you so much for watching the video, and do pop over to the Inkylicious website and grab your stamps from there. They are absolutely beautiful stamps. This set, you will be able to use it on everything. The moths are just fabulous, and that's the sentiment. Okay, so thanks once again, and I hope you've enjoyed it.